Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kayla and today is a fun video. It is so different than any of my other videos. Today we are doing a 31 things about me because today is my 31st birthday. So yeah, September 7th, 1990, I was born. So I just thought it would be fun to do like an about me kind of video. I asked on my community tab last week if you guys had any questions for me, and I also asked on my Instagram, but my Instagram is mostly friends and family. I have my Instagram on private, but there are a few of you that do follow me on there. So I have compiled some questions. I didn't get 31 questions on my tab in the community or on Instagram, so the filler questions are just random ones that I got on Google. So yeah, so let's just go ahead and get into 31 things about me. And also, real quick, there might be like random cuts and stuff in this video because my allergies are absolutely crazy today. I cannot stop sneezing and I cannot stop sniffling, so if I sound all stuffy, it's because my allergies are going nuts and my eyes will randomly water. And it's been terrible. It's been terrible the last couple days with my allergies. So, fair warning. Okay, so Deanna asked, do you have any plans due to COVID? You can't do much. No, I don't really have any birthday plans. My husband always does just a nice dinner at home, and then him and my boys give me a gift, and that's about it. My birthday falls on a Tuesday this year, so we're not really doing anything. Usually we go to sushi or something, just my husband and I on like a date. But I don't think we're going to do that this year just because there's, not even because of COVID, but just because of all of the smoke, that we still have crazy, crazy smoke from all the wildfires around here. So we are trying to stay indoors as much as possible because then this happens. I think this is why my allergies are going crazy right now. Okay, which leads into Deanna's next question, which says, how are you and your family from the forest fires near your area? So it's been crazy, guys. So the Tamarack fire started July 4th, and that was just a few miles. It ended up being just a few miles from my house. I don't know why I'm pointing. You can't see where I am. And so that got really crazy. You guys saw in my community tab that, you know, we were put on a potential evacuation warning because they didn't know which way it was going to go. And so luckily we didn't have to be evacuated, and the fire went east instead of north where we are. So that one got really crazy. But now the Caldor fire, which is actually, it started like an hour and a half away from us, is moving into where the Tamarack fire started. So we've had crazy, crazy smoke for the last 2 months. The Caldor fire, oh my gosh, that one is like heartbreaking, you guys. It's like over 200,000 acres. The last I saw, it was like maybe 22% contained is the last I saw like 2 days ago. So hopefully that's up way more now, but it has just been crazy, crazy, crazy. And so, I mean, we're fine. We're just, you know, breathing in hazardous air for 2 months. Our air quality has been in like the 300s and 400s for, I feel like, forever now. So, but I mean, ultimately we're fine. Okay, so Deanna's third question is, what have you learned about yourself since the pandemic? And I think this is such a great question. And it really got me thinking because not a whole lot in the in and outs of my life changed a whole lot during the pandemic. I'm a stay-at-home mom. My husband's in construction, so he was essential. So he worked all last year. So not a whole lot changed for me. I mean, we always washed our hands everywhere we went and, you know, took the proper precautions because, as a lot of you guys know, my older son does have a severe heart condition. So we were already conditioned to, you know, paying attention to our surroundings and washing our hands and being clean. But I've never wanted to be that like overbearing, like wrap him in bubble wrap type of parent. That's just not me. I want him to be a kid. You know, he's gotten sick. He's, you know, done all of that. So I wasn't like crazy, like, oh my gosh, we can't go anywhere, because I don't want to live in fear and I don't want to teach him to live in fear. And as a Christian, I don't want to teach him to fear other people. And I don't want to fear other people either. So I think what I learned about myself since the pandemic is just how to be more hospitable. I refuse to look at other people like they are like a nuclear weapon or anything like that. I refuse to look at them as if, you know, you're all that you are is a potential sickness to me. I refuse to look at people like that. I think what I learned about myself is to just love people more and to not let outside circumstances dictate how I treat other people. So I hope that's a good answer for you, Deanna. Okay, so the next question, Lee asked, you were saying you and your husband are thinking about fostering in the near future. Have you made any more plans regarding this? So I think it was about 2 months ago, I did a video reacting to my 2021 business goals, and I had talked about how we were thinking about fostering, and we still are. It is definitely still on the table. One big factor of that, though, was moving this craft room into the garage, and that's just kind of at a standstill. My husband's super busy with work, and of course that takes money and everything else, so that's kind of still at a standstill. But we are still considering embryo adoptions. So we're just really praying about which path is going to be best for our family. So it's either going to be fostering or adopting. We're just not sure which route we're going to take. So stay tuned. Okay, Shannon asked, how did you get started with embroidery and sewing and decide to make an Etsy account? So I got started with sewing. My husband actually got me my first sewing machine, our first Christmas together in 2014. And I had no idea how to use it. I had no sewing experience or anything at all. And it stayed in the closet for probably 4 years. I didn't even want to touch it because I was so scared. His grandma was a quilter, and a lot of the fabric that I have is from her stash. My husband had like the huge giant, like 50-gallon totes full of fabric and old quilt patterns and everything else, and it was so intimidating. I didn't even use the sewing machine for years. And then I got it out and I made like my first blanket, and you know, when we had Colston, I was like, I'm gonna make all of their own clothes, and you know, like I'm not gonna do anything store-bought, and I'm just gonna, you know, teach myself. And it's like, gone are the days where it's cheaper to make your own clothes, because fabric's expensive and you can get a shirt for $4 at Target. So gone are the days where that's the cheaper option. So it just turned into like a really expensive hobby. And then when Colston was little, one of the medicines that he was on wasn't covered by insurance, and it was like, I want to say it was like $175 a month, and it was just crazy. And you know, we're already paycheck to paycheck. I mean, we are not well-off people by any means. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe if I get like this I call it a cry cut because I didn't know what it was called. You know, if I get this Cricut thing, you know, maybe I can bring in a little bit of extra money. And so I just started doing that. Started with just a heat press and a Cricut and vinyl, and just doing onesies, and which is still a lot of just what I do now. But then I just, you know, got an itch to do more and more and more, and that's when I expanded into like tumblers and like metal stamping. And that's why I have like all this random stuff, is because like I've always been like, okay, well, I'm gonna expand this way and I'm gonna expand this way. But once I really got my sewing machine down and making like diaper covers and getting better at blankets and stuff, is when I was like, okay, I want to be able to personalize these. So last summer, I think it was last April or May, I invested in the Brother PE 800, and solely because I just wanted to be able to add names onto the Minky baby blankets that I was making. I wanted to be able to personalize them. So I invested in that, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, like I should try and do like onesies and stuff. And so it just really snowballed from there. So that is how I decided to make an Etsy account. It was not because I was some crazy, not crazy, but like, you know, avid entrepreneur and, you know, start my own business from the ground up. I started it solely to be able to pay for my son's medicine, which by God's grace, he's not on anymore, and he's just on aspirin once a day and another medicine that he takes 3 times a day, and it's like $11. So we are in the clear now of hundreds of dollars of medication a month. So now it actually is a business that I'm trying to grow, instead of just something out of necessity to try to help my husband. So that was a very long answer, but I hope it helps. Okay, so question number 6, Lisa asked, when did you start your business and how long did it take you to start seeing sales and a profit? And she has 2 parts to her question, so I'll answer the next part next. But I started, if you look at my Etsy, I think it says shop opened in 2014, and that's when I don't even remember what I was doing when I first started that. I think I like started a shop but then never put anything on it, and then it was like 2 years later that I was like, oh, like you know, I think I'm ready to try this Etsy thing. So it says 2014, but I didn't actually like start selling stuff until gosh, I don't know, maybe 2016 or 2017, somewhere around there. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, guys. Like, I would just like throw random stuff up there and hope that anything sells. I was very disorganized when I first started. I was just trying to make a buck just to make a buck. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have like a direction that I was going. I was simply putting stuff up, like random stuff up that I would make with my Cricut just to try and be able to sell. So it wasn't until I think it wasn't until I started doing like tumblers to where I actually like invested into my Etsy and took good pictures and you know, tried to advertise more and do better marketing. And that's when I really started like focusing straight on my Etsy. And I loved doing tumblers. You guys, you've heard me talk about this before. I absolutely loved doing tumblers. I loved how creative I could get with it. I loved the different designs that I can make. I loved making something that nobody else had made before. I loved it. I loved making tumblers. So I started seeing a lot of profits when I was doing that, when I actually had a direction, had a goal, had good inventory, had good pictures, had a good solid like Etsy foundation, I guess you could say, is when I started seeing profits. So, I mean, you can start getting sales and, you know, seeing a profit pretty quickly if you actually buckle down and have a direction, have a plan, be good at marketing, take good pictures, you know, really encourage people to leave reviews and things like that. You can start seeing profits really, really fast. And also, part of seeing profits is making sure that you're pricing correctly, because you don't want to, you know, obviously be underselling yourself. I sell my onesies for $15. And I see onesies on there for like on Etsy for like $7 or $8. And I don't know how people do that. I don't know how people are making a profit like that unless they're just doing it for a hobby, which really stinks because that just ruins it for everybody else. So yeah, so obviously making sure you're pricing accordingly. Usually your markup is 40 to 50%. Sometimes you could even mark up 100%. So it just depends. And the next part of her question was also for newbies. How many items would you suggest someone just starting out should list in their platform? I would say you should have... it's kind of hard because there's not really a set number. I personally think you should have at least like 30 to maybe 25 to 30 to 40 listings, because you want to be able to show that you have variety. You want to be able to show that you have more to offer. You want to be able to have more listings that show up. You know, when people search, like even if people just search like baby boy bodysuit, you know, not onesie because onesie is trademarks, you know, even if they just do like baby boy bodysuit, you know, you want that many of your listings to show up in the search. So I would say you need quite a few. I wouldn't start an Etsy shop with less. I don't think I would start an Etsy shop with less than maybe 15. So maybe 15 would be like my absolute minimum. But then again, I know other YouTubers. There's this one girl that I followed a while ago, and she started her Etsy shop with just like 4 listings, I think it was. And she did very successful because she was in a niche that wasn't very saturated. So I think it just depends on what you're trying to sell, how good your marketing and pictures are, how good your tags are, things like that. But if you follow me, you're probably doing like sewing, embroidery, Minky blankets, the birthday shirts, things like that, which is a pretty saturated market right now. I would say you need to have quite a few listings that stand out. So I know that answer is kind of all over the place, but it really just depends on what you're selling, what you're doing. But either way, I would say make sure your listings absolutely stand out. Make sure they don't look like anybody else's. Make sure your listings just reflect you and your shop and how different you are and the service that you offer and the quality that you offer. So I hope that helps. Okay, I think I'm on question 8 now. Deanna, you're so sweet, asked again, if you weren't doing YouTube and also not doing your embroidery business, what would your ideal work be that you want to pursue? If I wasn't doing YouTube, I would probably just be a stay-at-home mom, not running a business, not working at all, just because homeschooling my kids and raising them here on our little tiny hobby homestead is my job now, I guess. This is all just side stuff for fun. But before we had kids, I was actually a pediatric dental assistant. So if, you know, we weren't homeschooling kids and I didn't want to stay home, I would probably still be doing that. I had my registered dental assisting license, and yeah, so I probably would be a dental hygienist because I loved dentistry and I loved my job. I loved working with the kids, so that's probably what I would still be doing. But part of your question, Deanna, says, what would your ideal work be that you would want to pursue? I actually would really love to be a published author one day. So there you go. Okay, question number 9 is, how do you drink your coffee? I can drink coffee black, no problem, but I usually just put a little bit of half and half in. But no matter what kind of coffee shop I go to, I will always get a iced vanilla latte or just a regular vanilla latte. But at home, I will drink just a regular cup of coffee with a little bit of half and half. Question number 10 is, how did you meet your husband? I actually met my husband on Match.com. So we went on a date and the rest was history. We met in April of 2014 and I moved in June, and then we were engaged in July, pregnant with Colson in November, and then married the following March. So we were married 11 months later, and we are going on 6.5 years. Question number 11 is, what is your biggest annoyance? And I don't know. I don't really get bugged by a whole lot. To not get into anything too deep that annoys me, I think how people pronounce Nevada would be one of my biggest annoyances. It's not Nevada. It's Nevada. 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 We will correct you. Question number 12 is, what are you reading right now? And I have everyday staples that I read. Every morning I have a Bible reading, and then I do a devotional from my J.C. Ryle devotional and my Charles Spurgeon daily devotional. I really try to always be reading at least one book, like aside from my Bible time. And right now I'm reading Gentle and Lowly by Dane Ortland. Question number 13 is, what animals do you have? So I have, we have 2 dogs, 1 cat, 6 fish, and then we have 2 Netherland dwarf bunnies, and we have, so we have 4 chickens outside. Those of you guys that follow me like on Instagram and Facebook and like know me personally, we had 7 Delaware chickens, the beautiful bright white ones. We had 7. About 2.5 weeks ago, we had a raccoon get into our coop, and so now we only have 4 of those sweet babies. Luckily, my husband went out there before he could get the rest of them, so we went to Tractor Supply that weekend and got 6 more. So now we have 10 chickens. So we have 4 like 7-month-old Delawares, and then we have 6 chicks. So I think that was everything. Question 14 is, do you speak any other languages? Kind of. You wouldn't know it by looking at me, but I am half Mexican, so I do speak a little bit of Spanish. I am trying to learn more because I would love to be fluent in Spanish, and I'm also practicing German. I am learning both of those on an app called Duolingo. This is not sponsored or anything. I use the free version of the app because I don't want to pay for it, but I am learning Spanish and German. Question number 15 is, did you go to college? I did 1 semester of community college and completely failed. And then I went to trade school for dental assisting, and I was a dental assistant ever since. And then I met my husband and had kids and stayed home, so no college here, just a dental assistant trade degree, and that's it. Number 16, what is a habit that I have that I wish I didn't? Probably popping my knuckles. I'm always popping my knuckles, and I think that's part of why my hands hurt sometimes. Like you guys, you've probably heard me say in a couple of videos, like, I think it was my last embroidery canvas one when I said like using the screwdriver like hurt my hands. My hands get pretty sore really fast, so I wish I didn't pop my knuckles, but sometimes my hands hurt even worse if I don't pop my knuckles, so it's this weird cycle. So if there's anything I wish I could kick, it would probably be that. I don't smoke or anything, so it's probably popping my knuckles. Okay, I think I'm on question number 17. This question is, What are your favorite YouTube channels? I watch a lot of YouTube channels. I don't watch a whole lot of TV, and I'm subscribed to a lot of channels and over a lot of different things. I have crafting channels that I follow. I have Christian channels that I follow. I have homesteading channels that I follow, art channels that I follow, and then just random like comedian channels that I follow. For crafters that I follow Angela Jasmina, Bingham Bliss, by Angelina Maria, Kachi's Customs, Cindy Moncada, Erica Arndt, Lori Holtz, Simply Sally, The Sewing Report. So those are some of the crafting channels that I follow, the Christian channels that I follow. A lot of these guys also have podcasts, but I prefer to watch them on YouTube. So I watch Elisa Childers, Allie Beth Stuckey, Apologia Studios, my church. I'm subscribed to like the G3 conference and Grace to You because their channels, even though they're like organizations, they still put out really good content. Justin Peters Ministries, which is Steve Lawson, and The Gospel of Christ, Vaughn Sanders, What Do You Mean, Wretched Radio. So those are some of the Christian ones that I follow. And then I also follow artists like Rinsky Downa, Molly's Artistry, Mixed Media Girl. Sometimes I like to dabble in like fluid art paints and stuff like that too. So I really like following their stuff. And then for the homeschool channels that I follow Akiba Mays, I follow Brittany Lynn, I follow The Handmade Homeschooler, Angela Braniff. So I will leave links down below to my favorite channels so that you guys can click on and see for yourself. Question 18 is, what is your favorite burger? And this is a good question because like I know the answer immediately. I will always, if I'm at Buffalo Wild Wings, get the cheese curd burger. It is my absolute favorite burger in the entire world. Hands down, bar none, no contest, best burger ever. So, there you go. Okay, number 19, farthest I have ever traveled. I'm going to be dumb here and say I don't know which one's farther. So I'm in northern Nevada by Lake Tahoe, and I've been to Hawaii twice and Chicago once. I'm sure Hawaii's farther. I don't know. Yeah, so that's the farthest I have been either way. So we'll just say that. West, farthest I've ever been is Hawaii. East, the farthest I've ever been is Chicago. Okay, number 20 might be the most important question of all. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no? I say a hard no. That does not belong on pizza. It is gross. I do not like it. But I'm also the weirdo that doesn't like ranch on pizza and french fries and chicken wings and all that. I am of the minority that ranch belongs on vegetables. So there you go. I guess that that might tell you everything you need to know about me, and I'm sorry if that makes you click off this video now. Okay, number 21 is favorite podcasts, and all of the podcasts that I listen to are Christian podcasts, so I'm sorry if that bores you. I actually have my phone right here, so I will show you. They're all Christian ones. Daily Reformation, This Is My Church, Luther in Real Time, Risen Motherhood, Ask Ligonier, The Antithesis, The Briefing by Al Mohler. This one I listen to every day. I think it's great for current news from a biblical worldview. Ultimately with R.C. Sproul, Simply Put, Relatable with Allie Stuckey. Most of the time I just listen to her on YouTube. I don't always listen to her podcasts, but I'm subscribed to her on both. Cultish, Theology Gals, Wretched Radio. So yeah, just Christian podcasts, that's all I listen to. Number 22 is, what is my favorite music? I really like old country music. I don't listen to a whole lot of new country music. I do listen to some. I really like Chris Young and Chris Stapleton. I like Brett Young. I like, see, I'm kind of drawing a blank. There's not a whole lot of like new people that I like. I like the older like 80s and 90s country. The Randy Travis, George Strait, the old Garth Brooks. I don't like a lot of his newer stuff. You know, the old Trisha Yearwoods. Yeah, that's the kind of music I listen to if I'm not listening to like worship music or something. Number 23, what is a random fact about me? Probably, I don't know, the one that's coming to mind is I didn't like chocolate until I was pregnant with my first son. And now I have to have chocolate like every day, otherwise I'm like freaking out. My favorite candy of all time is peanut M&Ms. Just a fun fact, sneaking that in there. I will just eat them by the handful. I love them. I always buy like the big family share bags, and it's not really a family share bag, it's just a Kayla bag because I don't want to share. So yeah, I will eat those by the handful. I love peanut M&Ms. Which kind of transitions into like question 24, so I guess that could be the same thing. Favorite sweets that I love. I don't like tangy, sticky candy like Airheads or Tappies or anything like that. I don't like those. It hurts my teeth. It gives me a headache. But I do love chocolate. Mostly peanut M&Ms like I just said, but I love Milky Ways. I love Snickers. I love Kit Kats. I don't like coconut, like I don't like Almond Joys. But chocolate aside, I think my absolute favorite sweet would be tiramisu. I love tiramisu. I'm actually really hoping my husband gets me a tiramisu cake for my birthday today. It's my favorite. Number 25, what did you want to be growing up? I actually, for most of my childhood, up until I was about 16 or 17, wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to be just like my dad, except I wanted to take it farther and go into like the CIA or FBI or something. Like I wanted to go to Quantico, and I wanted to be like this, this like cool, chick detective. And yeah, so I wanted to be a police officer for most of my childhood. I was actually in the, I don't know if it's called this across the country, but I was in the Explorer program through our local sheriff's department, and we went to like competitions, and you had your uniform, and they gave you like scenarios that you had to like act out as if you were the on-scene police officer. And so we did traffic stops and domestic violence encounters and different things like that, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it so much. But then I never grew past 5 foot, and I got scared and didn't think I would make a good police officer. So then I got into like childcare and things like that. And so yeah, so that never happened. But for most of my childhood, that's what I wanted to do. So number 26 is a really good question, and I think a really interesting question. It's, how would I define success? And I don't define success as wealth or anything like that. I mean, if you're extremely wealthy, then great, but I don't necessarily think that that's what makes you successful. I think so many people think like, once you get to a certain point, then you're successful. But I feel perfectly successful in my life just being a stay-at-home mom and homeschooling my children. Like, I feel perfectly happy and content and extremely successful and extremely lucky with the life that I get to live, being able to be home with my children every single day and educate them every single day, and protect them from the world in so many different ways. Like, that to me is successful. And obviously that looks different for everybody, but I think I don't think we should strive for some crazy extravagant life, a house in some tropical island. And I don't know, like if that's what you strive for, if that's what your life goal is, then obviously by all means go for it. But I don't think that's everybody's goal. I don't think everybody has the same, extravagant life goal. And I think that's okay. I think we need to normalize that. I think we need to embrace that. I don't think everybody's supposed to be a doctor or a lawyer or, some big tech guru. I think there's plenty of extremely successful people that just live small lives, that live, like I live in a rural area, so, the local dairy farmer that just lives a quiet, simple life, I think is extremely successful, because I don't think like how much money you make or how famous you are or anything like that defines success. And I don't think it should define you. I think if you get to a point in your life where you're just happy and you're just content with where you are, I think that's success. I mean, do I have goals and do I strive for more stuff? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm perfectly content and happy right where I'm at. And I think that's success. So like I said, I think it depends on you and your goals. But I don't think that we should all feel bad about where we are because we're not where somebody else is. So I hope that makes sense, but I do think success looks different for everybody, but I don't think we should look down on people who live quiet, simple lives and think that, you know, they're not successful or anything like that. Because I live a very quiet, simple life. I, you know, stay home and homeschool my kids, and I, you know, clean my house, and I try to make sure my husband has dinner, you know, on the table every single night. And, you know, we're very active in church, and, you know, my kids are active in different programs. And I have this very tiny YouTube platform, which I think is absolutely great. But if all of this went to the wayside, and I just had my family in my little 1,600 square foot house here in Nevada, I would be perfectly content, because I love my life and I love where God has me. And I think that's success, is just when you can be content with where you are and not coveting what other people have. So long answer, but I hope that helps. Number 27, what would I do if I had $1 million, no strings attached, I could spend it on whatever I wanted? This is the kind of question that really gets you thinking. Because obviously you know, you want to be like, oh, like, well, I would donate it, you know, but like, let's be realistic. Like, I would love to pay off my house. I would love to pay off our bills. I would love to, you know, buy my husband the hobby car that he's been wanting. Like, there are things that I, you know, would like to do. Like, if money wasn't an option, I would love to pay for my husband's seminary tuition just straight up front and not have to worry about it. So I think those are a few things that I would do. If I had $1 million, no strings attached, I would, 1, pay off my house. 2, buy my husband the hobby car that he's always wanted. 3, I would probably take quite a bit of it and put it into an account for my kids to accrue interest and grow money over time, so that when they are like 18 or 25, they can take it out and have that for school or their house or their wedding or, you know, whatever. So I would just take money and set it aside for them. And then I would, I don't know, probably build the craft house of my dreams. Build a little she shed outside and have my own space. And then with whatever leftover money there was, you know, either invest it or give it to our church, or something like that. But yeah, I think that's what I would do. Okay, number 28 is, am I named after anyone? I am not named after anyone specifically, but I do think in the early 90s there was a girl named Kayla on one of the soap operas. I don't know which one, but my mom watches like a million soap operas, and I'm pretty sure that's where she got the name. My name is Kayla Marie, and for a long time I was going to be Brittany Rose, which is a beautiful name, but I'm really glad I'm Kayla. And then before they knew I was a girl, I was supposed to be Garrett. So yeah, so no, I'm not named after like a family member or anything. And then Marie, I'm pretty sure I remember my mom telling me one time the only reason my middle name is Marie is because Marie goes with like every name. So very unimportant, very little meaning. But my kids, so my older son is Colston James, and James is my husband's middle name, so that's you know, kind of family name kind of. And then Colston is just a name that I saw on the internet and fell in love with. I've always really liked Colton, but I like Colston because it's just a little bit different. There's not a whole lot of Colstons out there. And then my son Samuel is Samuel Dean. And I'm sure there's some Supernatural fans out there that are like, hey, wait a minute! Samuel, Dean, Sam, Dean, Sam and Dean, Sam, Dean, Sam and Dean? What? Yeah, so he's not directly named after the show, but my husband and I do love that show. And crazy enough, we've never finished the 15th season, but I still know what happens because I read about it. We just kind of like as a joke, we're like, hey, Samuel Dean would be really funny, you know, because we really like the show. And back in 2016, it was, you know, still super popular. And then it just kind of stuck because we were like, okay, well, even if it's not after the show, like, it's still a very like strong, handsome name. So Samuel Dean just stuck. So he's, I guess you could say he's named after the show. My husband says he's not. We just really liked the two names together. So, and we did like Jensen, but it was a little too hipster for us and getting a little too popular for us. Not that Samuel's not popular. I mean, it's an old Bible name. But yeah, so he's kind of named after the show, kind of not. Number 29, what is my favorite holiday? I love Christmas. Christmas is my favorite. I love decorating for Christmas. I love just the atmosphere around Christmas. I love just the family dynamic of Christmas. I love, you know, having time off with my family, or, you know, more so I guess my husband having time off with us. And I love, especially now that I'm a mom, I love seeing my kids' faces Christmas morning, looking under the tree, and I love the food. You know, when it snows around here, it makes it even more perfect, but I like a cool, cold Christmas with the fireplace going and gifts and just family time. And yeah, I think that's why Christmas is my favorite. All right, number 30, did I play sports growing up? I did play sports. I played soccer a little bit when I was like really young, like 2nd or 3rd grade, I think. But most of my life, I played softball. I played softball from 5 years old all the way up until high school. I was on varsity in high school, and my sophomore year, I was 2nd team all conference. But I ended up quitting my junior year and never finishing my junior or senior year. There's a lot of political stuff that went on and a lot of things that I did that I regret doing and I regret quitting, but it is what it is. Here we are now. But I played softball and I loved it. I was a catcher. Softball was my absolute favorite. I loved it. And I swore that one day I was going to play for UCLA and then I was going to play for the Olympic softball team. And obviously that never happened, but I loved it. Okay, and number 31, the final question. Sorry if it's not super exciting, but it is, what kind of car do you drive? And I drive a 2017 F-250 Super Duty. I drive a big truck. It's my baby. I love it. I don't like little cars. The smallest car I ever want to have again is like a Suburban. I don't like small cars. I had a Ford Focus when my husband and I first met, and I've always wanted a truck my entire life, but obviously I could only afford like small crappy cars. My first car was a Mercury Sable, a 2001 Mercury Sable, and then I got a 2013 Ford Focus a couple years before I met my husband. And then when we had our first son, I got a 2013 Ford Explorer, which was a beautiful car. I loved that car. I'm still really bummed that we sold that car because it had a 3rd row that we're wanting now as we're thinking about expanding our family, but at the time we had to sell it because we needed money. So now we just have my truck, and I love my truck. I love it so much. It's my baby. So that is it. That is 31 questions about me. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys weren't too bored, and I can't wait to see you guys soon. I have something very, very, very exciting coming up. I hope it all works out. I can't say too much, but I'm very excited. A company reached out to me, and I'm just really hoping that it's going to help me expand my business and I'm going to grow. I'm actually thinking about doing like a rebranding and changing my name, but it's all very hush-hush right now, but I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So keep me in your prayers, keep me in your thoughts, and I will see you guys next time.